upon you, and it's your host Fadila. Welcome to the third episode of our new series, How Do I Start a Book Club? The title of this episode is Tips on Leading Fun Book Discussions. If you listen to the second episode of this series, you would understand why we are moving on to this part. Like we said in the second episode, choosing the right books leads to discussions. We are going to be talking about everything discussions in book clubs, from how you should lead it to how you can make your book club bustling and engaging and interactive, and name all the adjective or whatever. Firstly, what is your role and your responsibility as a leader in that group? What is your part to play in the discussion aspect? We are going to be talking about everything. I will try to cover everything to the best of my ability, inshallah. Get your notepad, your notebook, your pen, and get jotting. As we go into this episode, I want you all to be attentive because I will be dropping interesting tips and relatable things. We'll be having a discussion basically. What is your role to play in this aspect of discussion? What is your role? You are the leader of the group. You created the group. You can't just leave the group once you've created it and say, okay, I've created it. I've already chosen my book, and then you are not leading the conversation and anything, and then everything is just going haywire. Is that how they pronounce it? Everything is just going haywire. Everything is just going haywire, and you're just sitting back and watching everything play out. If I ask you, is that what your job is? Is that your responsibility? Your job, your role in that aspect now, is it just to stay and sit back and be like, you know what, I've created my book club, let me rest, I'm not doing anything again, this is done, they can handle themselves? It's literally just going to be like a landslide. Sorry to say, but it's basically going to be like a natural disaster. But this one is not actually natural, it's artificially made, man-made by yourself. You made this disaster yourself, you made it happen yourself, because anything we do, we have to put effort in it. We have to put effort in everything we do. Like they say, how does the quote go again? It has to do with tying your camel before leaving it. Guess what, madam or mister? You need to tie your camel. You need to get your own part of the work done before saying, okay, I leave everything in the hands of God. Now that we know that, okay, your role as a leader in the book club is to lead book discussions, we are going to move to the interesting part, the important part of this episode: how to get your club bustling and engaging. Like we've mentioned in our previous episode, one of the ways to get your club bustling and engaging with interactive discussions and conversations is choosing the right book. Choosing the right book is number one here on our list. If you can recall from the previous episode where I quoted really good book, interesting conversation. So that is one out of a million ways or tip to get your club bustling and engaging. Another way to get your book club to be interesting, engaging, interactive is open-ended discussion questions. What are open-ended questions to start with? Open-ended questions are questions that do not require yes or no answer. If I ask, have you read Eteras? Do you think that is an open-ended question? Definitely not. If I ask someone, oh hey, have you read Eteras? And the person is like, yes or no, it won't bring up a discussion. So you should ask open-ended discussion questions that bring in conversation, that pushes conversation forward, that makes the club interactive, that makes it fun. It's not that you just ask one question, everybody's like yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, and then end of discussion, everywhere is silent, and then you hear that cricket sound. I don't know how it sounds here. You definitely do not want that to happen. You have to ask open-ended discussion questions to get your club bustling and engaging. Are you feeling the energy bustling within my body? And if you're struggling with open-ended questions, open-ended discussion questions to ask in your book club, some books usually have this author interviews or author notes behind them that I think they call it readers discussion something. So those questions behind the books can actually make your book club engaging and interactive. Another thing that we get your book club to be engaging, interactive, and fun is activities and games. This one, I am a living witness because I love games. If they're like, okay, we're going to be playing a book trivia game, count me in. I'll just take my slippers, clap it together, and then run to wherever that is happening, because I love games. And definitely people love games. People love, that sense of competition. We humans, we love it. There are tons of games and activities to do. You could do games generally about books. You could even introduce prizes to be won if people get high points, or your games or quizzes necessarily do not have to be prize based. It could just be for learning, educative purpose, to just feel the sense of competition, and you get what I mean. And Games are not the only things you can do as activities in your book club. You could also do things like I mentioned, book review sessions. Another thing to make your book club engaging is regular updates. This thing, it circulates around like our life. If you're a business owner, maybe you're a content creator, you are an author, you are a YouTuber, these regular updates, which I can just summarize as consistency, is very key. If I tell you consistency is key, you think people wouldn't notice? People would notice. Like the example of the book club I gave, that for how many years there has not been conversations because no update and everything, no follow-up questions and the rest. You have to update regularly. Members will notice. Look, if they might not say it, they might not tell you that, okay, Oga, madam, come, this is so and so. Why you know they update? Why are you not updating? Why are you not updating regularly? People actually notice, so consistency is key. This is another quote in episode 3. Okay, I'm not the one that actually made this quote, so yeah. Consistency is key. Be consistent. Another one is, if your book club is like in a group, try organizing in-person meetings or like in-person events where members could get to meet each other, talk, just try it, explore different experiences. Next, this is not a must, but I advise, it's not compulsory. It depends on you whether you want it or not. It's just an advice. It's just one tip I'm dishing out. You could also have virtual meetings, to discuss and then pour out your heart. It could be one of your activities, heart-to-heart discussions. I have not seen that in book clubs, so yeah, I'm giving you a secret tip to go and do heart-to-heart discussions, not necessarily divulging everybody's secret, but heart-to-heart discussions, people sharing their experiences, maybe after people read books related to the books. To make your book club engaging, you could also introduce reading challenges, like set goals. It should be a constructive competition between people. It has to be constructive and meaningful. All those people that they don't want to participate, it will kind of prompt them to join this challenge if you introduce it. Maybe they've never talked in like 10 years. No, that's too much. In like 5 years, is that not too much? Anyways, 5 years, we're going with 5 years. So like, let's say they've not talked in like 5 years and they now finish the challenge, and then you just simply chat, I am done with the challenge, and they're like, hey, thank God, alhamdulillah. The person may know they talk before don't talk. Finally, the person that has not spoken since has finally spoken. So reading challenges could actually, lead to engaging discussions and conversations. Another one to make your book club engaging is seek feedbacks. Yeah, feedbacks might be harsh, feedbacks might be hurtful, you might find it or take it personal, but the thing is, you do not take feedbacks personal. Learn to seek for feedbacks, don't take it personal. But there are some criticism that is just like they came to war, they just want to give you uppercuts, lower cuts, something, uppercuts, lower cuts, jab here and there, so you know how to justice. Another one is, you should encourage friendships. People are in your book clubs and be like, oh, you guys can make friends. If you want to talk, feel free to talk to me. And also encourage other members in the group to talk with one another. That book club that I was talking about, that there had not been conversations for close to a year. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back to episode 1. I talked about it there. So in this group, I've met lots of people, and yes, they are just amazing people, fellow book lovers. I've given you ideas on how to make your club bustling and engaging and interactive. Now let's move on. This one has to do with you that you want to start a book club, you that are the leader. It has to do with you. How to lead the discussions. Now we already know how to make conversations, how to engage them, how to make them talk, how to make them interactive, how to bring out the words from their mouth. So now we have to know, okay, they are talking now, how do we lead this conversation so it wouldn't go out of control or it wouldn't go off point or off topic? This is where you come in. Okay, you have always been there, but yeah, this is when your presence is most needed. Firstly, you should read thoroughly. You should familiarize yourself with the book by reading it thoroughly. The book you are going to read for that month, you should read it thoroughly. It's not that now it will be time for review and you that are the leader, yourself, you've not even read the book. You don't even understand the book. And then what do you expect other members to do? So you should familiarize yourself with the book and read it through. You should take notes on like the important parts, the key themes, the characters, quotes, memorable scenes. Secondly, you should prepare discussion points. When I say discussion points, you remember when I said how you can make the members talk and how you can make them interact and engage in your book club? You should ask open-ended questions. So this second one is prepare discussion points. You should create a list of open-ended discussion questions that cover the various concepts of the book, like the characters, motivation, writing style, the likes. That's why you have to read thoroughly, because if you don't read thoroughly, how are you going to create a list of open-ended questions for your book club? Number 3, you have to start with icebreakers. If you notice in some of my interview episodes, I start with icebreakers, to make the person or the members feel at home, to make them, comfortable, and, let them know, okay, this is a safe place. There are tons of icebreakers you could do in regards to book stuff. You could ask them like for their initial impression of the book or their favorite quotes from the book. Like, sometimes when we see books at first or start reading books at first, we have this initial impressions of the book, and sometimes it changes when we're done with the book. And there are other things you could ask, like this or that questions. Would you have referred it in first person's point of view or third person's point of view, and the likes. Fourthly, you have to set the tone. You are the leader. Yes, we know you are the leader, but I keep repeating it. Let the atmosphere be welcoming. Let the place be a place where everyone's opinions are respected. If I say, okay, I did not like this character, and then you that you are the leader of the book club say, hey, how can you not like this character? This is the best character in this book. Hey, Ogabi, calming down, Nasa, calm down, Ma, calm down. It is my opinion. I don't like this character. You might like the character, but I don't like it. Another thing is avoid spoilers. Be mindful of spoilers. Avoid them. Be mindful of them. A lot of people, most people hate spoilers, but me, if I'm reading a book sometimes, I don't like when people tell me spoilers, but like I'll be looking for, all those Bookstagram reels that, they create videos of books with characters and all. So I usually go there and look for spoilers myself. Even though I know I would find spoilers, I still claim I don't look for spoilers. But yeah, I finally admitted it here. I look for spoilers. But in your book club, you should be mindful of spoilers. Yes, the book might be very interesting to talk about. You want to state all the points and everything, but you have to be mindful of spoilers, especially if some of the members have not completed the book or they've not finished the book. Or before even saying them, you could tell them you're about to discuss spoilers or you're about to talk about a part of the book that contains spoilers. Number 6, you should ask follow-up questions. You should listen actively. Active listening. Listen actively. Active listening is actually a very good skill. Some people don't have this skill, but you could learn this skill as a leader of a book club, as an owner of a book club, and you're going to be managing the book club. You have to listen actively to your members' response. Listen actively to what they are saying. Just pay attention. Listen. Yes, you have some things to say, but firstly, calm down. Inhale, exhale, listen. You should listen actively to the members' response, then ask follow-up questions to dive deeper into their thoughts. This strategy encourages rich discussion. Rich discussions in the sense that it makes them talk more and makes conversation more fun. 7th tip, you should encourage participation. The same way you encourage friendships in the book club, you should also encourage participation. Ensure that most or everybody in the club participates in the activities. Not like forcefully, but like encourage. That's why the word encourage is used there. Not force participation, encourage it. And then you should manage your time. Manage your time. You have a set time, so keep an eye on the time and make sure all the discussion points are covered within your given time frame. That was the essence of our scheduling and our timing and everything in episode 1. That was the reason for that part, because you might be so engrossed, or your members might be so engrossed in discussing the book that they don't keep an eye on the time, and they're just talking. But you as the leader, it's your job to make sure that all the discussion points are covered within that given time frame. And if the topic is generating like a lot of interest, like people are just talking, you can actually consider revisiting it in the next meeting. Another thing is be neutral. Strive to remain neutral, people, and avoid taking over the entire conversation. Yes, you would have something to say, but you should not take over the entire conversation. Your role is to facilitate. Your role is to facilitate and not to impose your own opinions. Please be neutral. Your role is to facilitate, not to impose your own opinions. You can share your insights and opinions briefly, not you now take over the entire conversation. You can share it briefly and especially after others have had a chance to contribute, after your members have had a chance to contribute before you like bring in your own opinion, after actively listening to all the members' responses or people engage in their responses before briefly giving your own opinion and your insights on it. Our next step is guide, don't control. Let the conversation flow naturally. You don't be forcing it. Like, conversations will flow when they want to flow, and guide the conversations by introducing new discussion point, but also allow members to explore this point. You should give them time to explore it. It's not that, okay, now we've moved from this, we're moving on to this quickly. Other people have not gotten a chance to speak. Why are we moving on to the next point? Yes, I said you should keep an eye on the time, but that does not mean you should like control everything. And you should also relate to real life experiences or current events. You could actually bring in like real life experiences and like, even in this part of the book, it relates to how we do in so and so in reality and everything. You relate to real life experiences. I feel that people relate more I feel people understand more and like assimilate it more when you relate it to real life experiences. Another one is you should summarize the main point discussed. You should summarize the main point discussed and highlight the recurring themes. What did people say continuously while they were giving their responses? That's why you have to listen actively, and you should end the discussion on a positive note. The discussion should not end like when two people were arguing about a point or something. It should end on a positive note, and ask for feedbacks. I've mentioned this before when I was talking about how to gain engagement in the group. I talked about it earlier in the episode. You should ask for feedbacks from members and ask about what went well and what could be improved, to better the future discussions. Ask them and they could give their opinions, and you could work on it. Don't be afraid to ask. Now that you know how to lead the discussions in your book club, some people might still have this question like lingering on their mind, like, what if there are members in my book club that have different opinions? How can I like manage this kind of things? So I'll just give a couple of tips on managing different opinions in your book club. First things foremost, you should create a respectful environment, no fear of judgment. I've said this countless times. Your book club should be a respectful environment where people are free to share their opinions. Number 2, the discussion should be focused on the content. That's why I said you are there to lead the discussion so as for it not to go off topic or like derail from the exact thing you are supposed to be doing. 3, you should encourage constructive dialogues. Constructive dialogue in the sense that if somebody says something now, you could ask questions to clarify what the member was trying to say. Ask the member questions. You should ask the member so that they will be able to explain their reason behind their own opinion. Sometimes we just feel like we usually assume. So instead of assumption, you should clarify by asking the member to explain their reason behind, their opinion or their perspective or their own thoughts. Fourthly, you should find common ground. These 4 tips would definitely help you in managing different opinions in your book club. Or you could research for more if these are not okay for you. And that would be it, people. That would be it. I hope you all enjoyed this episode so much, because I did. I enjoyed having a conversation with you on how to have a conversation or conversations in your book club. I hope I've been motivating you. I hope I've been motivating and inspiring you to start your own book club, even if you've not even had the idea before to start. And if you've had the idea, I hope I'm like making that dream of yours come a reality slowly. I hope to see you guys, inshallah, in our final episode of this series, where I get to answer questions and also, summarize everything we've talked about. This week, I want you to go through all we've done from episode 1 till episode 3, and if you've not listened to the previous episodes, please do so. Do follow us on Instagram, and I would also put this message thing so you all would ask questions that I'll be using in the next episode, inshallah. I'll put in the notes below, so you guys make sure you ask your questions and share with other people so they can share the link with other people so they can also ask their questions. Or you could DM your questions to @Books and Coffee podcast on Instagram. See you next week in our last and final episode of this series. Assalamu alaikum.